we are in the QBO gym, and this is where we have numerous hands-on exercises that simulate real-life scenarios that you may encounter as a bookkeeper. Each month covers a variety of new topics and scenarios, and to make it a little bit easier for you, we break it down into 4 different sections. So, if you are a bookkeeper and looking to work on your bookkeeping skills, this is the place for you. And if you want to do an entire month's worth of these all on your own, be sure to join our free 5-day bookkeeping challenge. All you need to do is click on the link in the description. But let's get into today's exercise, which is coming from our July Year 1 Strength Training section, where we really focus on locations and classes. At the top here is an animated video to give you an understanding of what you, the bookkeeper, will be doing for your client Craig this month. Below that is an interactive pre-assessment quiz that does relate to the video up above. Below that are the exercises in this section. And at the bottom here, after you have completed all of the exercises in this section, you will unlock some sample marketing posts that you can use on your LinkedIn to share with everyone what you have learned so far. So let's dive into today's exercise where we are going to practice setting up classes for income transactions. Go ahead and click on that link right there to have the exercise pulled up for you. I have it here on the right side, so let's read through the scenario. Craig would like to track his income by residential versus commercial services. Commercial customers rarely cut back on landscaping maintenance because their business needs to look great all the time, even when the economy is not doing really well. Residential customers, however, are much more price sensitive and less stable, but they sometimes hire Craig for large, profitable design jobs. It is important for Craig to track how much he is doing in each area. So, this is exercise going to show us how to do this. Now, you will need to be in the same session of the sample company that you did the previous exercise in. If you have not completed that exercise yet, go ahead and click on the link on the top right corner of your screen. That'll take you to that exercise, complete that one, and then come back to this one. They build on each other, so it's really important to start with that first one. I have this sample company pulled up here on the left side of my screen. This is what it will look like after you have completed that other exercise. But let's go ahead and get started with this one. We're going to start with the income. Now, the first thing we need to do is set up the classes feature. So to do that, we're going to click on the gear icon and then select account and settings. So the gear icon is on the top right corner of the screen. Click on that. And then under your company, select account and settings. Let's go ahead and click on the advanced tab that's on the left side at the very bottom. Go ahead and click on that. And then we're going to edit the categories section. So just click anywhere on that to make it editable. We want to click on the slider next to track classes so that we can turn it on. When you do, it will turn green, and that just indicates that it has been turned on. Now notice that you can set up a warning to make sure you always have a class assigned to a transaction. You will not do that for this exercise. As you'll see in a future exercise though, it doesn't always make sense to require a class, so leave this unchecked. That's this box right here. Notice too that with classes, you can decide if you want to have a class assigned for each transaction, like you saw with locations in the previous exercise, or if you want to assign a class for each row/item on the transaction. You can see that right here. When it comes to income, each customer will likely be designated either residential or commercial, so this will not matter. But when it comes to expenses, it's conceivable that Craig might purchase several products at once, and then some will be for his residential customers, while others could be for commercial ones. So just keep in mind as why that is there. We're going to leave this as is for each row. And then we're just going to click on this green save button. So go ahead and do that. And then click on the green done button on the bottom right corner. And now that feature has been saved. Next, we're going to set up the classes. So we're going to click on that gear icon once again, and then this time select all lists. So click on the gear icon on the top right corner, and then under lists, select all lists. Let's go ahead and click on classes. That's in the second column here. Go ahead and click on it once you find it. And there are no current classes here, but let's go ahead and set some up. So the first thing we're going to do is click on New. That's the green button right here. And then we want to name this class. The first one is going to be Commercial. We don't want to have this as a subclass, so leave that unchecked and just have that name in there, and then go ahead and click on the green Save button. And now that one has been created, let's do the other one for Residential. So click on the green New button, click into that name box, and then go ahead and type Residential. Once again, leave is subclass unchecked. So once you type in the name, go ahead and click on the green Save button. And now you can see that we have both of our new classes created and saved. All right, so moving on, remember that when you set up the locations previously, you could assume that any transaction that did not have a location was coming from the main office. It doesn't really make sense to make a similar assumption with the classes, though. Would the ones without a class be commercial or residential? Instead, it makes more sense to ensure that every income transaction is assigned a class. So once again, we're going to use the reclassify tool for this. To get there, we're going to click on Accountant Tools and then select Reclassify Transactions. That is at the top here. Accountant Tools, under Tools, select Reclassify Transactions. As before, because the dates are always changing in the sample company, you'll want to use an entire year to do a search. This time, however, you'll want to include all transactions through today. Also, for now, you're only going to focus on income. Tracking expenses per class is a bit more involved, so we'll handle that differently in a different exercise in the next one. Due to the limitation of the reclassify tool, you'll do all of the invoices and then all of the sales receipts. So I'm going to actually click out of this bar right here just so I can see my entire screen. Feel free to do the same thing if you have that as well. In the From field, we're going to, it will default to the first day of last month, but we just need to change the year to last year. So click into that 2 times and then delete it so that you have last year. And your dates may be different because sample company is always changing dates. So what you see on my screen may be different than what you see on yours, and that's perfectly fine. In the To field, we want to have it, it will default to the last day of last month, but we want to have it as today's date. So type in a lowercase t. So click into that, and then you can just type a lowercase t, and it will automatically pull up today's date, which is a nice little trick. In the Type field, we want to select Invoice since that is what we're going to look at first. So click into that down arrow in the Type field and scroll down until you find Invoice, and then go ahead and select Find Transactions. And you can see there's quite a few that are showing up here. So we're going to start by reclassifying the residential customers. We're going to click on Customer Vendor to sort this list by this field. So the Customer Vendor one is right here. Go ahead and click on that. And you will see all of their names here in alphabetical order. We're going to click on the checkbox next to all the invoices on the list for customers that are names rather than companies. So they are Gita, John, Mark, and Travis. So once you have that sorted, you're going to just start scrolling down. Here is Gita. There is 1, 2, 3 for her. Here is John. There is 1 for John. For Mark, there are 2. And then for Travis, towards the bottom here, 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 for Travis, which makes for a total of 10 transactions. So if you have 10 transactions selected, you know that you have all of them at this point. So let's go ahead and click on Reclassify. That's the green button here. And then in the Change Class To field, we want to select Residential. So in this middle one right here, click the down arrow, go ahead and select Residential, and then go ahead and click on the green Apply button. And now they have been assigned their classes. If I scroll down, you can see in this class column, the ones that we just selected and reclassified, they are now showing as residential. So next, let's reclassify the remaining invoice transactions to commercial. In order to do this, you need to change the filter criteria a little bit to show only those that do not have a class assigned. This will just make things so much easier because we'll be able to do it in batch in just a moment and you'll see why. or you'll see how. In the class field, let's go ahead and select none so that we're only seeing the ones that have no class assigned to them, and then go ahead and click on Find Transactions. Now we're going to click on the checkbox at the top of the grid to select all transactions. So click on that box right there, and now we can go ahead and click on Reclassify. This is why filtering it out so we only see the ones that don't have an assignment yet is so much easier, because we don't have to go through and uncheck the ones that we've already assigned residential. So go ahead and click on Reclassify. And then once again, in that change class to field, we want to this time select commercial. So click into it, select commercial, and then go ahead and click on the green apply button. And now all of those have been applied, and that's why you're seeing none left here, because our filter is looking for ones that have no class. And since they have all been assigned a class at this point, there is nothing else to show here. So in addition to the invoices, there are a handful of sales receipts that we also need to reclassify as well. So in the type field, let's go ahead and select sales receipt, click into that box, and then scroll down. Sales receipt is the second to last one. Click on that. And then we're going to click on Find Transactions. All right, so now we're going to classify it for the residential customers. We're going to click on the checkbox next to the receipts for Diego, Dylan, and Kate. So everything is already still in alphabetical order still for us. So it's just going to be those first three that you can see right there. We're going to click on Reclassify. And once again, in the Change Class To field, we're going to select Residential. That's the middle one there. Select Residential, and then go ahead and click on the green Apply button. And now we're only seeing the one left for Pies Cakes. So let's go ahead and reclassify that one to Commercial. So click on that box, click on Reclassify, change Class To. You want to change to Commercial, and then click on Apply. Now, I don't know if you had noticed before I had done it, but in the class, I had mentioned this in the previous exercise, but in the class field, it had East as all lowercase, even though when I had set it up, it was a capital E and then all lowercase letters after that. It's just a glitch in the sample company. I'm not really sure why it shows up that way, but it is formatted correctly. Otherwise, it's just for this page, for whatever reason, it's just showing up that way. So now that you have reclassified a few old transactions, let's go ahead and start some new ones. We're going to start with an invoice for a commercial company. We're going to click on the plus new button and then click on invoice. So click on that plus new button and then go ahead and click on invoice. And then in the customer field, we're going to select, I believe it's pronounced Rago Travel Agency. So go ahead and click on that down arrow, and you can scroll until you find them. Once you do, go ahead and click on it. Of course, you could always type it in the customer field as well. Now we want to delete East from the location field. So click into that, delete that. And as a note here, the reason that it showed as East is because it is not tied directly to them. It's never tied to a customer or vendor. It is just because the last thing that we worked on that had any kind of whatever transaction we had worked on before in the previous exercise, East was the last thing that we used, and so it is showing up here. But we don't want it for this particular invoice, so make sure that is deleted. Let's go ahead and fill this out. In the product service field, or on the first line, we're going to select Rock Fountain. So click into that product service field. You can click the down arrow, and then Rock Fountain is actually the fourth one listed on that list. Go ahead and click on it. And then we want to assign this to the class for commercial. So click on the down arrow right here, and then go ahead and select commercial in that class field. And then we are going to simply save and close this. Click on the green button on the bottom right corner. And now that invoice has been saved. Next, we're going to create a sales receipt for a residential customer. So we're going to click on the plus new button and then select sales receipt. So the plus new button on the top left corner, click on that. And then under customers, you're going to select sales receipt. When it comes up, let's go ahead and fill this out. In the customer field, we want to select Shar Barnett. Now note that Shar has a sub-customer Barnett design. It's possible that Shar is both a residential and a commercial customer. However, it's not likely that you would include both on the same sales receipt or invoice. So we're going to click the down arrow. You can scroll until you find her name. Here is her name right here, and then here is the sub-customer of her, that Barnett design, which is likely commercial, and this one's likely residential. So we want to click on her name once we find it. Her information is going to appear for us. And then in the product service field, we want to, on the first line, select gardening. So click into that product service field. I'm going to actually start typing in gardening so I can find it easily. Once you do, go ahead and click on it. In the rate field, we're going to type 50. So click into that rate field, type 50. When you hit the tab key over, you will see that QBO is updating this sales receipt. In the class field, let's go ahead and select residential. So click that down arrow, select residential. This is all good to go. So now you can go ahead and click on save and close. So click on that green button that says save and close. That sales receipt has been saved. And that's it. That is how you would set up classes and assign them for income transactions. Now, if you like this exercise and you'd like to do more like it, be sure to join our free 5-day bookkeeping challenge. All you need to do is click on the link in the description. We're going to continue on, and if you want to join, be sure to leave this session of the sample company open, as you will need it for the next exercise in the strength training section, where we work with classes on expense transactions. And I will see you in the next video.